we lost most of our audience. Let's see, on the 13th, you'll also be voting on this article to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of certain property located at map 28, lot 41, 21 Flat Road, also known as the former West Bethel Children's Center, upon a recommendation from the Board of Selectmen to be in the best interest of the town. A little bit of background on that piece of property. In 1990, Community Concepts leased the property from the town to have their children's center there at a rate of $1. They've occupied it until August of this year, maintaining it themselves, not giving any revenue to the town, but serving the children of the area. In August, they decided to leave. I believe they went up to Crescent Park School, and the building became the property of the town again, per se. So thinking about that, the Board of Selectmen crunched some thoughts together and was approached by the Bethel Water District. To possibly do some sort of a trade with the town. Just some comparisons. The Bethel Water District on Philbrook Street and the West Bethel Children's Center, some details on that just so you'll see that. But what we really want to get to is, this is the West Bethel Children's Center property. This is the water district that abuts it. It was in benefit of them to possibly acquire this piece. And in turn, they want to give us the piece of property on Philbrook Street where their current office is. So thinking about that, the board met with them a couple of times. The Bethel Water District was proposing to trade it with all transfer costs to be borne by the water district. They also said, well, since there's a huge value in the property at West Bethel and a very minimal value on the property on Philbrook Street, currently the water district gets lease fees from Sunday River for the Bingham Forest. So that they would allocate those funds to the town of Bethel. And before I go on, that's the lease payments that the Bethel Water District is getting every year, and it progresses through 2027 at a rate of $9,500. The Board of Selectmen thought that those fees could be appropriated to pay the real estate taxes to Newry for the Bingham Forest, currently an 18-year lease in year 9, and the taxes on the Bingham Forest currently are $6,511 a year. There was some talk from the Board of Selectmen to take the surplus of lease money back to tearing down the building on, to pay back tearing down the building on Philbrook Street, and then place the taxes, place the stipend back into the general fund to reduce taxes. When I did some research, approximately $6,000 to $6,500 to tear the building down on Philbrook Street with an asbestos clear report. They don't have a clear report at this current time. They did agree that if the vote was in the affirmative, they would get an asbestos clear report. So the Board of Selectmen also thought, well, some conceptual ideas could be, what would we use that property for? In-town parking, an electric charge station, anything like that. It is only 0.22 acres. When I spoke to my public works foreman, he went and took a look at it. He thought it was approximately 10 to 15 parking spots there that would include a handicapped, and the approximate cost to develop the parking lot would be about $20,000.
No, I'd just say that in talking with the Bethel Water District, they certainly were in favor of this this swap. It gives them obviously a much better building facility office in West Bethel than they have now. It obviously is attached to their property up there, and again, the great benefit, I think, ultimately comes from the fact that you have this this lease payment every year that in the ultimate end I'm sure will be renewed after it's up in this particular period, and again will take care of the property tax. that we have to pay to NURI on the Bingham Forest. That is something that we have up to now paid the taxes. Basically, the water district did, and the town has tried to with the use of cutting wood on the forest and using that to pay taxes. But we have a 10-year cutting plan there, and after that, taxpayers are going to pay the taxes. So this is a great, in my mind anyway, a great way to, I guess, kill several birds with one stone, if you will, in the fact that the Bethel Water District winds up with something that they need at fair cost to them. We wind up with something that perpetuates itself in a sense for years and years to pay the taxes on the Bingham Forest and actually help with our own tax commitment by having excess after the payment is made to go back against appropriate uses, and some of that being the general fund. So I guess I would urge everyone to support this as Christine read it, and allow the selectmen to kind of take care of this deal, if you will, and it seems to me that it would work for everyone. So, got a comment here?
I have a question. I'm just, I was out there, somebody needed to say something to me, but I missed, where did the Bingham Forest taxes come into this? And if the town owns the children's center, why do we have to go through town meeting if the Bethel Water District wants this? I mean, it's town owned already.
Right, the Bethel Water District isn't.
The sewer department is, right?
Right.
Yes, and then our code says any building that we own over 6 years has to go to town meeting to dispose of.
So are we gonna transfer it to the water district for nothing then?
Yeah, well, the rent, the fee, the lease money from which is basically, Sunday River's paying lease money on the very top part of the Bingham lift.
Okay,
That's where the tops of some of the lifts are.
okay.
So every year, Sunday River pays now the water district and getting transferred to, so the switch would be that would now get paid to the town of Bethel instead of the water district. And as it turns out, those lease fees would eventually be much more than the difference in the cost between the two properties. So the town of Bethel actually, financially, in the long run, comes out ahead, but the water district gets the building that they want, that they need, and they've been trying to figure out how to get a new building for years. If you've seen the Philbrook building, it's on its way out.
It's a historic wall.
It's like the Upper Bisbee School.
Yeah,
And this-
much smaller.
It would also give some in-town parking if they chose to go with a parking lot, so.
So I think it's sort of a win-win-win all the way around. It sort of endows the Bingham Forest, brings some money back, a little bit of money back into the town general fund, and it gives the water district, which benefits a large percentage of the population, a handful.
And it's something I believe that would be, again, in perpetuity, because I don't think any of us see Sunday River going away. And this particular lease runs out in what, 2027?
Yes.
2027. It will be renewed, and this will start all over again. So it's a perpetual.
And what are the taxes that are paid to the town of Uri?
$6,511.
And would those come from the Bingham Forest, because part of that is in Uri's land?
That is correct.
All of the Bingham Forest is
All of it.
The former watershed, James.
Yeah, I know that, so I'm just confused
This
why
gentleman's
Sunny
had his
River.
hand up for quite
It's
a while.
complicated.
Yeah, yeah.
He's waited patiently.
So, comment and a question. As far as handicap parking goes, getting in and out of where the Philbrook building location is, does not meet ADA standards because the road is too steep. If you're treating it like a sidewalk or something like that, so that may not necessarily make sense. I'm all for the swap with the water district. The other question is, if the water district ever folded for whatever reason, would all their properties revert to the town? after they pay off their bills?
I don't know.
Don't the trustees own the water district?
The trustees do, but they're appointed by the Board of Selectmen, so.
Yeah,
I would-
I don't know the answer to that. That's a
I
good
would
question.
guess that the water district would come back to the town.
Yes,
It's a quasi-municipal, it's a quasi-municipal organization that is under statute.
governed by
in the state
peace.
of Maine, so you have to do some research.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
And as far as the handicap goes, I mean, that was just some conceptual ideas going. That doesn't necessarily mean that it may even be a parking lot. I mean, they may do something else with it, so.
I'm just going to play devil's advocate. I was actually just here to facilitate this. But this is a already process in the Disney School went through, which I was obviously connected with. That property ended up being valued and released, put on the open market to see what the value of that land was at 50% more than the assessed value. So given the break-even point is 10 years out, is that right? Where the tax payments or the tax payments catch up with the discrepancy of the two properties? I think it's 10 or 11 years out.
10 years, yeah.
And so, I mean, do we know that the West Bethel Children's Center isn't working out? Like, does it make sense to put it on the market and see what it's actually like?
The question is just to have the Board of Selectmen dispose of it in the best interest. I mean, they may actually do some investigation after the approval if it does pass, and they may say, no, this isn't going to work. I mean, this was just some ideas that started spinning, and they were all in favor of it.
And it just seemed like this proposal worked out really well for a whole bunch of different constituencies.
And again, and probably the biggest thing in my mind still is that I see these lease payments going on far longer than I'm going to be around. And ultimately, we have the Bingham Forest. And ultimately, that $6,000 per year taxes is going to turn into 62, 64, whatever it might be. And this certainly is a way, in my mind, almost in perpetuity, to make sure you take care of the taxes on that piece of land.
Well, unless the building is invested in and the assessed value went up and the tax went up, it could be $6,000 every year from taxing. Am I correct in that the water district wouldn't pay taxes on this property?
That is correct.
So, I mean, I want to call a spade here, and the argument that I heard against the Ethel Business School is now being flipped around, and there was a free market kind of libertarian approach to the Ethel Business School that you didn't want to support a local business, and now it kind of seems like there's some inside dealing happening there, and the arguments are being flipped. I think it's worth being aware of, going down the road. I would certainly support the town disposing of the property, but this seems.
The same way we did Apple Bisbee, right?
Pardon?
The same way Apple Bisbee.
Well, there are public meetings, like maybe there is a request from the folks for the building and the water district is responding.
Make it there.
Go ahead.
Just a clarity question. So if the swap happened, the Bethel Water District would own that building? Or
That's
they-
correct.
they own it? So then what is the mechanism to ensure that the lease payments from Sunny River don't go to Bethel Water District, they come directly to the town of Bethel? What's the mechanism?
They reassign it to us.
They reassign the lease to us. The Sunday River would reassign the lease to the town.
And they would agree to do something like this if it goes through already?
I mean, I haven't spoken to him, but I wouldn't see a concern. They have an agreement already with the Bethel Water District.
Right.
So, I mean, if worse comes to worse and they say, no, we're not doing it, they still owe that through 2027 to the Water District. The Water District could just collect the payment, give it to us.
Right, but there's no, it's being a little presumptuous, a little bit, that,
The lease would have to transfer.
the lease would have to transfer, or they have to be a new lease, that it's part of the attraction of having the Bethel Water District go in there is this result. But the result, again, is not promising.
No, it would have to,
From
it would
Bethel
have
Water
to, it would have to play that.
Right.
Yeah, we certainly would not do it unless there was some legal binding, reassignment,
I hope so.
whatever.
Right.
The lady in the back.
The building itself probably needs a lot of work, and
Which
in
one?
order to be marketable, we'd have to decrease that value that you're looking at right there. It's that, the tax value and market value of that property might be the same, but they might not be as good as that looks because of the age of it. And we let the water company fix it any way they wanted
Yeah.
without us having the responsibility to take care of what may be wrong with that building. It is a very old building.
Well, if it drops much more, maybe I would want to buy it and make a business there.
You'd do what?
Maybe there's someone out there in the community that would want to
But
buy it
why
and make a
isn't this
business
good for
there.
Bethel? Why
Pardon?
isn't this good for Bethel if we're gonna get the tax money that we're paying out over the years?
I think it's
It
a
could be in
great,
the
I think it's a great
contract.
move. I just think there needs to be parity of process and transparency of process, which
Well,
I'm not
that's
seeing
what public
happening.
hearings do, is give you the transparency that people kind of didn't stay around.
See, what happened with Ethel Bisbee is they voted to put it up for sale.
Right.
But they're not voting to put this up for sale. And he's
Sitting in
saying
land
that it
transfer.
should be equal. You know, if that's a piece of property that belongs to the town, then why isn't it going up for sale like Ethel
Because
Bisbee
we
did?
have an entity that wants it.
Well, there was an entity who wanted it.
Right, that's right.
May I step in here a minute? You're not proposing to sell it. You're proposing, this ordinance is allowing you to determine what's best use of it. You have not negotiated a sale or anything else. Is
That
that
is
correct?
correct. It's just to have the selectmen dispose of it in the best interest of the town.
That's all the ordinance is, none of the other stuff.
So in other words, we could still accept, we could still look at the offers.
Right.
It's the same first step as the Ethel Business School. It just gets clouded by.
I have a question for research for whenever this comes up again. Why does the Bethel Water District still hold the lease on the Sunday River section of the Big Forest now that the town of Bethel is going to the property? And
That
whether
was,
lease,
that was sort of the, so that's an interesting question. That was a negotiated deal in order for the town of Bethel to have, was it an easement? Was it on the water district property at the bottom of the big,
okay,
right, so that was a deal.
and does that continue after 2027 when their lease is up? That new deal with the...
The easements are permanent.
Yeah, it's a permanent easement. Yeah, so that's what happened. The water district gave us a permanent easement on the piece of land that connects to the bottom of, in exchange for this.
Thanks for clarifying.
Okay.
So is this what you're going to propose then?
We're gonna, yeah, this will
Or
be,
are you taking ideas from people here as to what to do with that property?
I would suspect that probably what will happen is this vote goes in the affirmative, the Board of Selectmen will sit down and have a work session to determine if that's the best interest in the disposal of it.
on November 13th, you will come and vote on Article 3 to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of certain property located right there.
Okay, so it doesn't say anything about the Bethel Water District?
No.
Okay, all right.
This is,
We were approached, well, the board was approached, that's why we want to make sure transparency occurred here, that, you know, there's nothing sneaky going on.
And you could have him approach you too, you know, to say, hey, I'd be interested in buying it. You know, that would be revenue into the town, so. Just saying.
okay? No, I hear you. Okay, we'll close the public hearing on